It's a video. Oh god. It's a video response to Metal Memory. Um, he made a video asking about or asking for some advice about how to talk to people about the Second Amendment and convince them of the validity of it or something along those lines. Um, hang on. Oh yeah, that's the stuff. In the case on his video, he talked about a friend who they're friends, so I assume you guys have a lot in common. You get along, but then you reach this one point of contention, and you can't get past it. We all have those, and that point of disagreement can really be about anything for people, you know. In this particular case, with it being the Second Amendment, it's kind of a polarized subject. Um, the normal advice would be showing a person the Constitution or showing them historical historical precedent. But in the case of your friend, as you were pointing out, he feels that the Constitution is due for a revision, and an argument of historical precedent would wouldn't hold water with him because he believes that it's time for something new. He doesn't like the violence that occurs from firearms. I assume he doesn't like crime that occurs from firearms. Possibly he doesn't even like war, something of which firearms are very much involved. And I can understand his point. Shit, I can even respect it. And it's interesting that he wouldn't he wouldn't like using historical precedents for an argument like the Constitution as a historical document. I mean, we can look at the reason why they put certain things in the Constitution. Uh, why the Bill of Rights was adapted was because very early on, King George attempted to seize all firearms from the colonies, and it was after that event that remained very much in the colonists' mind, and they believed, oddly enough, that an Englishman had the right to bear arms. Now, where did they get that idea? Well, the rest of the Englishmen were able to bear arms, and for some odd reason, they wanted to take it away from these Englishmen who happened to live in this colonial area on the frontier. I'm rambling a little, but I think you get what I'm saying there. But in the case of your friend, he still doesn't like firearms. And any point that you are going to make, he will just find an opposing argument. And in discussions about firearms or discussions about anything, when you see a person go to a fallback position, when I say fallback position, you you answer their argument and you beat them. Like he says firearms should be illegal, and then you say, well, we have the Second Amendment, and he says the Second Amendment is outdated. And then you say, well, the Second Amendment is so that we can have a freestanding militia and defend our home and hearth. And then he says, you don't need that. We have law enforcement. He's just pushing his agenda as is you are pushing yours, and you got to watch out for that. So whenever you just totally when somebody, what I'm saying is to put it back into place here. When somebody offers you an argument against something, and then you offer logic and you totally defeat their argument, and then they just rephrase the argument and go to another point, then something else is really going on. With the case of our Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia being necessary for a free state, the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. When some people who like guns read regulate, you mean, well, regulate to make sure we have a high standard. When some people that don't like guns see regulate, they say, well, that means you need to choke it down. It just has how you look at things. First Amendment, no state-sponsored religion, right, and freedom of speech. Well, some see that no state-sponsored religion as meaning no religion at all for the state. And some see that as, well, we just don't have an official religion and I am free to practice my religion anywhere and any way I see fit, up to and including having wearing religious garb if I'm commissioning in the duties of my government job. So you just got to be careful. And in some cases, you're not going to be able to convince a person. And in that case, all you can do is listen to them and learn from them, and maybe notice when you do those same things yourself. I'll give you an example of that. A few months ago, when Mr. Lockenload was doing his whole tirade about going down to the border, they mentioned militia and mobilizing the militia. And naturally, because it's a very interesting subject for me, being one myself, I think, okay, well, who is it that authorizes the mobilization of the militia? And I had all these case precedences where Congress mobilizes militia the same way that they mobilize the military. And as I'm bringing forth all these arguments, constitutional arguments and constitutional precedents and historical precedents, and talking about, um, Congress provides for military officers to lead the militia and things like that, I got to the point of, well, that's just sometimes you can't go by the Constitution. So even people who initially used the Constitution as an argument eventually abandon it just to seek their individual point. Oh, wow. Hope that made sense. If not, I'm going to do more on this particular subject, but it's quite a bit to put together, and it's some good stuff. Y'all take care.